Do you really know what a dog needs to live with health and energy? On the BARF diet, it is not enough to offer raw meat. It is necessary to understand proteins, fats, minerals, vitamins, and even fibers that support your pet's immunity and longevity. BARF is not a fad. It is science applied to canine nutrition. If done wrong, it can generate dangerous shortages. But when planned correctly, it transforms your dog's health and vitality. Watch until the end and find out how to put together a balanced, safe, and complete diet. Dogs' health is profoundly influenced by what they eat. Just like humans, each nutrient plays an essential role in the functioning of the body, and the BARF diet, biologically appropriate raw food, is only safe and beneficial when planned to cover all the specific needs of each animal. It is not enough to just offer raw meat. Canine nutrition requires balance, proportion, and variety, because each element, from amino acids to minerals, participates in vital functions that sustain life, energy, growth, and even the body's defense against diseases. The first essential group of nutrients for dogs is protein. Dogs are facultative carnivores, which means that their biology is wired to better metabolize animal foods, but they can still digest other types of nutrients. Proteins provide the amino acids needed to build and repair muscles, tissues, skin, and even for the production of enzymes and hormones. When a tutor decides to offer BARF, it is important to remember that the quality of the protein is more relevant than the quantity. Lean cuts of meat, viscera such as liver, heart, and kidney, and also raw eggs with yolk and white in balance, are very rich sources of essential amino acids. Without quality protein, dogs can experience loss of muscle mass, stunted growth, skin problems, and immune fragility. In addition to protein, fats are a second pillar of the diet. Often owners are afraid to offer fat for fear of obesity, but in fact, it is the main source of energy for dogs. Essential fatty acids, such as omega-3 and omega-6, play a key role in brain health, lubricating joints, maintaining a shiny coat, and regulating inflammatory processes. Sources such as cold water fish oil, krill oil, flaxseed oil, and even the natural fat present in cuts of meat help maintain energy balance without overloading the body. It's important, however, to offer these fats in the correct proportions, because an excess of omega-6s without the omega-3 balance can increase inflammation instead of reducing it. The third nutrient often misunderstood in the BARF diet is carbohydrate. Although dogs do not rely on carbohydrates as their primary source of energy, as they metabolize fat much more efficiently, small amounts of fibrous vegetables are useful for promoting gut health, microbiota diversity, and digestive transit control. It is not about providing rice, corn, or wheat, which in excess can generate allergies and inflammation, but fiber from vegetables such as pumpkin, carrots, broccoli, and leafy greens, processed in order to facilitate digestion. These fibers work as prebiotics, feeding beneficial bacteria in the gut and strengthening immunity. Another central component of canine nutrition is calcium, which ensures not only strong bones, but also acts on neuromuscular processes and blood clotting. In BARF, it comes primarily from raw, meaty bones such as chicken wings, turkey neck, or lamb ribs. It is crucial, however, to respect the correct ratio. Too much calcium can cause constipation and even bone deformities, while too much calcium leads to structural weakness, fractures, and seizures. This balance is guaranteed by including approximately 10% of raw bones within the daily diet, always remembering that cooked bones should never be offered, as they fragment and can perforate the gastrointestinal tract. In addition to calcium, dogs need phosphorus, magnesium, zinc, iron, and copper, all found in organ meat, red meat, eggs, and some vegetables. Iron present in the liver, for example, prevents anemia, while zinc actively participates in skin health and wound healing. The deficiency of these minerals can manifest itself in a subtle way, such as hair loss, to severe symptoms, such as neurological problems. Therefore, varying the types of protein and organs offered is a practical way to ensure that the dog does not suffer nutritional deficiencies. And you can't forget vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and B complex. Each one performs essential functions. Vitamin A takes care of vision and skin health. Vitamin D regulates calcium metabolism and strengthens bones. Vitamin E is a natural antioxidant that protects cells from damage, and the B complex ensures metabolic energy and neurological balance. In the BARF diet, these vitamins come from organ meats, fish oils, eggs, and fresh vegetables. However, supplementation may be necessary in specific cases, especially in regions where access to certain foods is limited. Finally, but equally essential, is water. Often overlooked, hydration is even more important in a natural diet, as the dog's body relies on constant fluid intake to aid digestion, nutrient absorption, and temperature regulation. Unlike dry food, which contains only 8 to 10% moisture, BARF naturally already offers about 60 to 70% water. Still, owners should ensure that dogs have free access to fresh, clean water at all times. All of this shows that the BARF diet is not simply raw meat, but a strategic composition that needs to meet the specific nutritional needs of dogs. Each nutrient is an indispensable piece in the health puzzle, and ignoring one of them opens up room for serious imbalances. That's why many experts reinforce the importance of planning balanced menus, made under veterinary guidance, especially when it comes to growing puppies, pregnant, or senior dogs. The understanding of the specific nutritional needs of dogs within the BARF diet becomes even clearer when we look at how each stage of life requires adjustments and how each nutrient fulfills a critical function. Unlike an industrialized feed where all components are pre-balanced, natural food puts the responsibility of maintaining this balance in the hands of the tutor. And precisely for this reason, it is essential to understand in depth what it means to plan a complete diet. When we talk about puppies, for example, rapid growth and intense bone development demand adequate levels of calcium, phosphorus, protein, and energy. A calcium deficiency or an incorrect ratio between calcium and phosphorus can result in irreversible bone deformities, while low-quality proteins compromise muscle and immune formation. That's why, in BARF fry, the choice of meats should include lean, amino acid-rich cuts, as well as easy-to-chew meaty bones, such as chicken wings or duck necks. In addition, viscera such as liver and kidney are indispensable, providing B vitamins and iron. Puppies also need higher energy density, which means including fats in more generous amounts but always balanced with sources of omega-3 to ensure joint and brain health. Adult dogs, on the other hand, have maintenance needs. They are not growing rapidly, but they need balance to sustain energy, lean mass, immune system, and metabolic health. This is where variety plays a crucial role. The BARF diet should include at least 4 to 5 different types of protein throughout the week: chicken, beef, lamb, fish, and eggs, for example, ensuring a wide range of amino acids and minerals. For active adult dogs, such as those who play sports, the amount of fat can be slightly increased, offering clean and stable energy. In dogs prone to obesity, such as Labradors and Beagles, it is important to adjust the proportion of fibrous vegetables to increase satiety without reducing nutritional density. Senior dogs have other specific needs. The digestibility of food becomes even more important, and some organs begin to work less efficiently, such as the kidneys and liver. In this case, high-quality proteins remain indispensable, but in adjusted amounts to avoid metabolic overload. The presence of natural antioxidants such as vitamin E and selenium gains relevance to slow down degenerative processes and preserve cognitive health. Fish oil rich in EPA and DHA is highly recommended to reduce joint inflammation and protect the brain from aging. In addition, bones should be chosen with caution to avoid tooth fractures, preferring smaller, softer options, or even the use of eggshell flour as a safe source of calcium instead. Another point often overlooked is the specific needs of certain breeds. Large dogs, such as German Shepherds and Rottweilers, are predisposed to joint problems. For them, the presence of collagen, cartilage, and essential fatty acids is fundamental, something that can be easily incorporated into the diet with chicken necks, tendons, or natural bone broth. Small dogs, such as Chihuahuas or Pinschers, have faster metabolisms and need smaller, more frequent meals, rich in dense nutrients and easy to digest. Brachycephalic breeds, such as bulldogs and pugs, benefit from fibers that aid digestion and strict weight control, so as not to overload the respiratory system. The BARF diet also needs to consider specific clinical conditions. Dogs with food allergies, for example, may have symptoms triggered by common proteins, such as chicken or beef. In these cases, the tutor can resort to less conventional sources such as rabbit, duck, or even horse meat, depending on local availability. The control of allergies by food exclusion is much more efficient in a natural diet, since the tutor knows exactly each ingredient provided. For dogs with kidney problems, reducing phosphorus is essential, which implies care with the amount of viscera and adjustment of the type of meat. In dogs with joint diseases, chondroitin and glucosamine supplements can be combined with BARF to strengthen cartilage protection. An often overlooked aspect is the role of trace micronutrients, such as iodine, manganese, and selenium. Iodine, for example, regulates thyroid function and can be supplemented naturally with dried seaweed in small amounts. Selenium acts as a cellular antioxidant and is found in viscera and eggs. Manganese participates in the formation of collagen and healthy bones, and can be offered through crushed seeds or specific organs. Although their needs are small, the chronic absence of these elements can lead to severe and silent dysfunctions. Another essential component of the diet is prebiotic fiber, which supports the gut microbiota. A balanced gut flora boosts immunity, improves nutrient absorption, and even regulates the animal's behavior. Many owners report that after transitioning to the BARF diet, anxious, hyperactive, or aggressive dogs become more balanced, and this is directly linked to the gut-brain axis. Ingredients such as pumpkin, broccoli, and spinach processed into puree are great sources of fiber that feed beneficial bacteria, while also aiding in the elimination of toxins. However, it is necessary to reinforce that the balance should never be left to chance. BARF follows a classic ratio that serves as a guide. About 70% raw meats and bones, 10% offal, 10% vegetables and fruits, and 10% optional supplements like eggs, oils, and seeds. This base can be adjusted according to age, race, health status, and level of physical activity. The most common mistake among beginners is to overdo the muscle meat, forgetting bones and viscera, which results in unbalanced diets, low in calcium and vitamins. Another mistake is to abuse whole raw vegetables, which dogs do not digest well without prior processing. Therefore, understanding nutritional needs is not just knowing what to give, but understanding how each nutrient interacts in the body. The BARF diet, when applied correctly, becomes a complete nutrition system capable of offering longevity, vitality, and balance. But when done in a disorganized way, it can become an invisible trap that leads to serious deficiencies. The impact of the BARF diet on the health of dogs is not only in the nutrients themselves, but also in the way they are absorbed and used by the body. Bioavailability, that is, the body's ability to take advantage of each component, is higher in raw and natural foods than in ultra-processed foods. This means that, when offering a BARF meal, often the amount needed is less than the same proportion in industrialized feed, because the nutrients are in their whole form, without loss from processing at high temperatures. This difference explains why dogs on BARF generally have smaller stools, less odor, and better consistency, a sign of digestion and more effective utilization. But this bioavailability only becomes a real benefit when the tutor respects the specific nutritional needs. One of the most critical is the balance between calcium and phosphorus. Phosphorus is present in large quantities in muscle meats, whereas calcium comes from raw bones. The correct ratio is around 1.2 parts calcium for every 1 part phosphorus. If the dog receives too much phosphorus and too little calcium, the bones begin to weaken, and the body takes calcium from the bones themselves to compensate. If you receive too much calcium, you can suffer from calcifications in soft tissues and severe joint problems. That's one reason why simply offering raw, boneless meat isn't true BARF. It's an incomplete diet that compromises health. Another essential nutrient within the natural diet is taurine, a crucial amino acid for heart and eye health. Although dogs can synthesize taurine from other amino acids, recent studies show that some breeds, especially golden retrievers, cockers, and bulldogs, may be more susceptible to deficiencies when given poorly formulated diets. Taurine is present in viscera, such as the heart and liver, as well as seafood such as mussels. Including these ingredients in BARF not only ensures heart health, but also strengthens vision and neurological functioning. Vitamin D deserves special attention. Unlike humans, dogs cannot synthesize vitamin D effectively through sun exposure. They depend almost exclusively on diet to obtain it. In BARF, the main sources are fish oil, liver, and egg yolk. Vitamin D deficiency can cause muscle weakness, bone problems, and decreased immunity, while too much is toxic. Therefore, the inclusion of supplements should only be done under veterinary guidance with periodic blood tests to adjust doses. Vitamin K, less talked about, also plays a fundamental role in blood clotting. In BARF, it is obtained primarily through the healthy gut microbiota, which produces it naturally. This reinforces the importance of prebiotic fibers, which support the good bacteria responsible for the synthesis of this vitamin. An imbalance in the microbiota, caused, for example, by an excess of fiber-free protein or the indiscriminate use of antibiotics, can reduce the production of vitamin K and increase the risk of bleeding. Another crucial point is essential fatty acids. The balance between omega-3 and omega-6 must be carefully observed. While omega-6, present in meat from conventionally raised animals, can generate excessive inflammatory processes, omega-3, found in cold water fish and krill oil, acts as a natural anti-inflammatory. A dog that receives balanced amounts of these fatty acids will have protected joints, a more active brain, a strengthened cardiovascular system, and healthy skin. An imbalance can result in chronic itching, recurrent otitis, hair loss, and autoimmune diseases. The BARF diet also has a direct impact on oral health. Chewing raw bones helps remove plaque, strengthens gums, and reduces bad breath. However, it is essential to choose bones suitable for the size and age of the dog, avoiding dental fractures. Soft, fleshy bones, such as chicken necks, are suitable for small dogs, while large recreational bones, such as bovine femurs, can be offered under supervision to larger dogs. In addition to hygiene, chewing is a mental stimulus that reduces stress, anxiety, and destructive behaviors. Another fundamental detail is the presence of natural antioxidants, such as vitamin E, vitamin C, and polyphenols present in fruits and vegetables. These compounds fight free radicals and slow down cellular aging. Fruits such as blueberries, raspberries, and apples, offered in small amounts, provide valuable antioxidants. Elderly dogs, in particular, benefit greatly from the inclusion of these foods, as they help in cognitive preservation and protection against degenerative diseases. Diet enrichment with probiotics and prebiotics has also gained space within BARF. Natural probiotics, such as kefir and lactose-free yogurt, can be added occasionally to diversify gut flora, while prebiotics from fibrous vegetables support these beneficial bacteria. Healthy gut not only improves digestion, but regulates immunity and even influences dog behavior. Owners who adhere to this care report visible changes: calmer dogs, shinier coats, less voluminous stools, and more balanced energy throughout the day. Finally, it is important to highlight the individuality of each dog. Not everyone metabolizes nutrients in the same way. Dogs with kidney disease, for example, need strict phosphorus control. Dogs with pancreatitis should have diets with lower fat content, even within the BARF. And athletic dogs, such as those participating in agility or canicross sports, require higher calorie density and specific supplementation to maintain performance. It is exactly this customization that makes BARF so powerful. It is not an off-the-shelf diet, but a living plan, adapted to the reality of each animal. The attentive owner realizes that meeting the nutritional needs of a dog with BARF is more than feeding. It is taking care of longevity, vitality, and quality of life. It is to give back to the organism what it was biologically programmed for. But at the same time, it requires knowledge, responsibility, and professional monitoring so as not to turn an ideal model into a silent risk. When we talk about nutritional needs of dogs on the BARF diet, the word that defines everything is balance. It's not about choosing just lean meats, bones, or isolated vegetables, but about understanding how each component connects to the other. It's like putting together a puzzle. If a piece is missing, the picture is incomplete. If one piece is forced into the wrong place, the whole set loses meaning. And this is precisely where many owners make mistakes: offering raw food without considering proportions, or copying ready-made menus from the internet without adjustments to the animal's own reality. To understand the depth of this balance, it is necessary to remember that dogs throughout evolution have always eaten in a varied way. In nature, when they hunted, they ingested not only muscle meat but also viscera, cartilage, bones, and even stomach contents of their prey, where they found partially digested vegetable fibers. This natural pattern is precisely what inspires BARF, to offer a complete diet that respects canine biology and keeps the organs functioning in harmony. Within this perspective, macronutrients, proteins, fats, and fibers represent the energy and structural base. But micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants are the invisible conductors that regulate every biochemical reaction in the body. Without them, the orchestra of health is unbalanced. Therefore, raw bones, offal, fresh vegetables, and natural supplements are indispensable, and each one must appear in correct quantities. Another essential point is strategic supplementation. The tutor will not always have access to all the ingredients in the routine. In some cases, including probiotics, seaweed, fish oil, or eggshell powder, can be the difference between a healthy body and a silent deficiency. But supplementation should be seen as an adjustment, not as a substitute for a varied diet. It works as a reinforcement, never as a pillar. Nutritional needs also vary with lifestyle. A dog that lives in cold weather, such as huskies and malamutes, may need higher calorie density to maintain body temperature. A dog that lives in a warm environment, such as Labradors in tropical regions, can benefit from lighter menus, with a greater presence of fiber and moisturizing vegetables, such as cucumber and zucchini. BARF, when well planned, has the advantage of being flexible and adaptable to the environment, size, and individual needs of the dog. Another aspect frequently reported by tutors who offer BARF is behavioral change. Many observe that their dogs are more emotionally balanced, less anxious, and more focused. This effect is directly linked to the gut-brain axis, where the healthy microbiota influences the production of neurotransmitters. Serotonin, for example, responsible for the feeling of well-being, has its production regulated in the intestine. A balanced diet in fiber, prebiotics, and probiotics strengthens this process, transforming digestive health into mental health. At the same time, BARF demands accountability. Deficient nutrition does not manifest itself immediately, but in the medium and long term. A dog may appear healthy for months, but have bone, immune, or heart problems after years of poorly planned feeding. Therefore, periodic veterinary consultation and regular blood tests are indispensable. Only in this way is it possible to ensure that the dog is getting everything it needs, without hidden excesses or deficiencies. For many owners, the idea that BARF is just raw meat still persists. But the reality is that BARF is an applied science. It requires knowledge, variety, and discipline. Each protein, each oil, each vegetable has its specific function in the dog's body. And when everyone is in the right place, the result is visible. Dogs with shiny coats, stable energy, firm muscles, small stools, healthy breath, and above all, longevity with quality of life. In the end, understanding the specific nutritional needs of dogs on the BARF diet is making a commitment to respect the nature of the animal, but also to study, plan, and adjust continuously. Because the goal is not just to feed, but to nourish. And the difference between those two words is the difference between a dog that just survives. It is a dog that flourishes in vitality. Enjoy the video if you want to see your dog with more energy and health. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to learn all about BARF. Comment: what supplement or ingredient do you already use in your pet's diet? Share this video with other owners who want to offer the best for their dogs.